On today's episode, we take to the sky for a comedic classic. I'm Scott.
I'm Jason, and this is the Friday Night Rewind.
Today, we are talking about the 1980 classic Airplane. When was this released, Jason?
It was released on July 2nd, 1980, July 4th weekend.
Beautiful. I would have been 6 months old, 6 months old.
I was one.
There you go. For box office, this is a film that did really well. 171 million at the box office, adjusted for inflation for 2026. That's $685 million. That is a huge rip at the box office. Also, it cost next to nothing to make. I don't want to say next to nothing, but $3.5 million adjusted for inflation.
In Hollywood
14
terms,
million.
that's next to nothing.
Next to nothing. I mean, incredible. How did it score?
Rotten Tomatoes, 97%. And IMDb is full of fuddy-duddies because it only has a 7.7, which means that somebody out there was scoring this movie low, and I don't even want to know those people. Losers.
Most of the time,
losers.
Yeah. When we're looking at this, we're seeing parallels between, a lot of times, parallels between the Rotten Tomato score and the IMDb score. So this is kind
The
of
last movie we did was all sevens, 77%
Yeah.
on Rotten Tomatoes and 7.7 on IMDb. Maybe
It's
IMDb
interesting.
just defaults to 7.7.
Well, we'll keep an eye
Conspiracy.
on that for our listeners, and we'll track it for them.
Good idea.
So what is this film about? This is essentially a film about a disastered flight where folks get food poisoning, and we have a neurotic ex-fighter pilot who has to come in and save the day. And really at the heart, forget about the plot. The plot almost doesn't matter. It's a parody of a disaster movie, and it's actually based on a 1957 film called 0 Hour. And there's so many scenes that are borrowed from that film. Many of the characters are also taken directly from that film, and even some of the dialogue is taken from that film. So if you haven't seen 0 Hour, check it out. I haven't. Jason, have you?
No, I haven't, but I know it also draws many elements from Airport 1975 and the other films in the Airport series. And, until you said that just now about 0 Hour, I was sitting here like learning something new because I really thought that it was just a riff on the Airplane. I mean, the Airport movies. I didn't know about 0 Hour.
Yeah. And we'll get into some of that, but this is a film that leans heavy into the gags, the puns, the jokes, the running jokes. So it's a really good take on that kind of a format. Let's jump in and talk about who made this: directors, writers, cinematographers, score, all that stuff.
Yeah, directed by Jim Abrams, David Zucker, and Jerry Zucker. Before this, they did the Kentucky Fried Movie in 1977. After this movie, they went on and did Top Secret with Val Kilmer in 1984. Have you seen Top Secret?
Oh, yeah. God, yeah. Of course.
Yeah. Awesome
Brilliant.
movie. Ruthless People in 1986.
Another
Is that
good one.
DeVito? Is
That
Danny
is
in that
DeVito.
one?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Yeah.
Like I remember vaguely. Naked Gun, 1988, huge classic. Hot Shots in 1991 without the Zucker brothers. So that one was just Jim Abrams. But really, Jim Abrams and the Zucker brothers, they are pretty much responsible for that like slapsticky parody brand.
Yeah. Nonsensical, leaning into those, running jokes, the gags, all that kind of stuff.
Yeah. And it was
Definitely
written by them as well, Abrams and the Zucker brothers. As you mentioned earlier, based on 0 Hour, 1957, which is actually based on Flight into Danger, a 1956 book.
Yeah, and I know nothing about those.
Okay.
That was too deep down the well. But
Awesome.
maybe one day we'll figure those
That
out.
makes both of us. Cinematographer was Joseph Barak. First film was in 1929. And he also made Blazing Saddles in 1974, The Longest Yard in 1974 with Burt Reynolds. Blazing Saddles, we'll do that on this show one
Definitely.
of these days. Obviously, just a huge, huge classic, one of Mel Brooks' finest. Really, after this movie, though, nothing significant. So tell us about the music, though, Scott.
All right, so this is an Elmore Bernstein scored film. very recognizable name. Certainly can probably should be able to recognize some of his signature scores. He did is the first film that he did was 1951. 1960 he did The Magnificent Seven, great Western. He did The Great Escape in 63, Slapshot in 77, brilliant. And Animal House in 78. After this film, he did The Blues Brothers in 1980 as
Oh,
well.
greatest.
I know. I mean, what can you say about The Blues Brothers? I mean, just amazing, amazing movie.
What can't be said about the Blues Brothers?
No,
Yeah.
it's a must watch for everyone. He also
If you've never seen the Blues Brothers, just stop listening to us and go watch the Blues Brothers, please.
and then
right
come
now.
back.
Yeah.
He did Trading Places in 83, Three Amigos in 86. I love Three Amigos. It's that's just such a great movie. It's such a fun watch. The Grifters in 1990, another one that I love. John Cusack, Annette Bening, a real sort of noir film, just really, 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 really good and really fun. And then his last film was Gangs of New York. I believe he passed away in the process of making this, and that film was taken over by Howard Shore, who I'm sure we'll talk about in the future.
So let's talk a little bit about the cast. First actor really we want to talk about is Robert Hayes, who plays the former fighter pilot who saves the day. Prior to this, he was really just in some small TV roles. His career was still in its infancy when he made this movie. He was in a little film, though, called Raw Justice with Pam Anderson, which I haven't seen. But I think was one of those like soft core, almost soft core, pseudo soft core. Have you seen it, Scotty?
Listen, I don't want to quote this movie line by line, but if I have to, I will.
Okay, please do.
Raw Justice has been, a favorite of mine for decades. I've seen it probably more than fit. No, I'm kidding.
Okay.
Could you imagine?
I don't know. Like maybe
I've definitely seen it. I'm definitely going to tell you that I've seen it. I'm not willing to admit how many times. Fair enough. All right. Julie Haggerty. This was her first film, and she's the female lead in this. She plays a stewardess. So she was really, I mean, at the infancy of her career. After this, she was in What About Bob? Bill Murray was in that as well. And then U-Turn, which I think was an Oliver Stone film with Jennifer Lopez and a couple of other folks. So she did some things, but just, not to this level, let's say.
Yeah, What About Bob is another film that if like you haven't seen it yet, stop listening to us and go watch it.
Yeah.
Really,
Bill Murray, Richard Dreyfuss.
Wait until you're done listening to us for What About Bob.
There you go.
And U-Turn is like an Oliver Stone film that I've seen once. It's like trashy Oliver Stone. I think it was like he did it like kind of like on the heels of like he did JFK and Nixon and like Platoon and like a couple of other like grandiose films, and then U-Turn. And it's one that like I've kind of wanted to revisit for years because Oliver Stone's fun enough. He's a director with some gravitas, and I remember it being fun, but not much about it. Another actor that was in this film, the great Lloyd Bridges, father to Jeff Bridges, and also Bo.
Yeah, you could throw Bo in there.
Yeah, you could throw Bo in there. He'd been acting since 1936. He was in Little Bighorn in 1951, High Noon in 1952. He was well established already when he was in this movie, been in a ton of Westerns. I think he went on, though, his greatest role ever was a member of the Mandelbaum family on Seinfeld. So... Yeah, Scotty's not a big Seinfeld fan, but he was Morty Seinfeld's friend, and he was a personal trainer to Jerry in an episode.
Look like Seinfeld. I just have my issues with Seinfeld, but I do love Seinfeld. I've seen Seinfeld perform live. He's a fantastic stand-up comedian. All right, let's move on to Peter Graves. Peter Graves is maybe a name you might not recognize, but a face that you definitely will. He was in Night of the Hunter. He was famously in the Mission Impossible TV series from 67 to 73. And after that, he did films like Adam's Family Values, Men in Black 2, and just such a great actor. And really, I think in this type of a role was kind of a perfect fit. So very cool to see him in this.
Yeah. After Peter Graves, we have the great Leslie Nielsen. Really just an incredible actor. Started acting in 1950. Yes, let us all bow to the late great Leslie Nielsen. He was in the Poseidon Adventure in 1972. At this point in his career, he was very, very well established. Definitely miscast in many roles, but established himself as a straight comedic actor with Airplane, Soul Man, and Naked Gun. I really like Nielsen though, doing like villainous turns. He was a total creep in Creep Show. And then, of course, went on to do many other comedies after this. Dracula Dead and Loving It, which is lesser Mel Brooks, but lesser Mel Brooks is still Mel Brooks. So,
Yeah.
yeah.
I would say for me, my favorite performance by him are his late night interviews. And I mentioned this to you, but for our listeners who
Oh,
haven't
yeah.
searched this up, it's important for everyone to look up Leslie Nielsen late night interviews because it, it, it's genius as it sits. And it's hysterically funny. And the way that he sort of maneuvers through life and adds these comedic elements that are very self-deprecating it's just amazing. What a hero. And I'll say, once you've done that, look up what's on his grave. So that's really important. All right, let's get into the background of this film. So
Are we not going to give it away? Okay.
no, I don't want to give it away. Let's let them find out. If you do find out and want to let us know that you found it out, please do share. So Jerry Zucker, Jim Abrams, Dave Zucker, known as ZAZ or whatever you want to call them, they wrote Airplane while they were performing the Kentucky Fried Theater, which was a theater group that they founded in 1971. And to obtain material for their comedies, they would routinely record like late night television and sort of make fun of it. If you could think of it that way, they're recording shows and watching it later and having a laugh at them. During one of these processes, they unintentionally recorded 0 Hour and thought it was kind of a perfectly classically structured film. He thought it was sort of, he described it as the serious version of their film Airplane. And if you want to think of, their film as the comedy, 0 Hours, the serious film. And they wrote a script kind of based around that. The script was originally very close to 0 Hour, which I think was something that they wanted to change. And so ultimately they ended up buying the rights from Warner Brothers and Paramount for $2,500.
This movie 0 Hour must have been such a big deal. I don't know. I've never heard of 0 Hour. I've heard 0 Hour mentioned more today. It's just amazing to me that Airplane lived on for 50 years almost. And 0 Hour is nowhere.
Do you think the producers and director of 0 Hour are like, whoa, what could have been had we just made this funny instead of serious,
I think they're long dead.
They're
still mad about it though.
Probably. Yeah. So they wrote the script. They failed to sell it to any studio. They had a meeting with John Landis. I hope we all know John Landis, but brilliant director, writer. He
Killer
encouraged.
of Children.
Yeah, what's that?
Killer of Children.
Did he? That might be a fact I don't know. All right, let's not talk about John Landis anymore.
But it's okay. Facts are facts. It's okay. He is a very talented director. But yeah, there was a tragedy that happened during the filming of the Twilight Zone movie, in which a couple of kids died, and also the actor. Oh God, I can't remember his name. But there was an
the
actor
helicopter.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, a couple kids died,
okay.
and there was a great actor. It's killing me that I can't remember his name. Had his head chopped off, but a lot of a lot of laws and Hollywood regulation came out of that incident.
Probably not the worst thing.
No. I mean, worst thing that these deaths happen, but not the worst thing that these laws happen. But yeah,
Right,
very, very talented filmmaker. Not the greatest father. if you know much about Max Landis, maybe. But um,
Oh, did Max write World War Z? No, that was
no, that was Max Brooks. That's
Max
Mel
Brooks.
Brooks's
Okay, that's
boy.
what I'm
Yeah,
thinking of. Mel Brooks' son. Okay,
yeah. Now
that's
Max
what I'm
Landis
thinking
is
of.
just known as kind of like a Hollywood douchebag.
Cool.
Yeah. But anyways, we're totally diverging.
Yeah, that's okay.
The more you
The
know.
more you know.
Yeah.
So he encouraged them.
Vic Morrow. Vic
Vic
Morrow.
Morrow. Okay.
Yes.
John Landis encouraged them to write the film based on some of the sketches that they had done. And ultimately that's what they did. And they hired a lot of the actors that are in the film, folks like Robert Stack, Leslie Nielsen, Peter Graves, Lloyd Bridges. The Robert Stack is another one that we didn't mention but he was a straight guy. And you might remember Robert Stack. He was the guy that did, what was the show on television?
Family Matters. Family Ties.
No, Unsolved Mysteries.
Oh yeah.
That's what he was really known for.
I was gonna keep naming TV
Yeah,
shows.
you could. Yeah, I know. You could keep going. This is what happens when you get old. Is like all the knowledge that I used to have.
I
Is
actually
fading.
wasn't even really paying attention. I just heard you say what was the name of the TV show. I didn't even know what it was connected to, so I was on my own there.
So he was, so Zucker basically said, we want to hire these folks. We want them to play it straight and, do the comedy bits, straight face, straight laced, all that stuff. So that's really like how this kind of came together. As far as standout scenes, what I would say is when we were growing up, if we watched this on television or rented it and watched with our friends in the evening, we were really cheated because when VHS came out, it cut off the sides. So your aspect ratio to fit the screen was so small. What happened is because they did that, you lose so much of what's happening sort of on the peripheral of the scene. And this is a film that everything in it takes place in the peripheral, right? And so all the gags, all the jokes, if you're watching this film, you can pay attention to the scene, but really what you're watching for is on the sides, what's in the background, what's going on sort of outside of the box of what the characters are doing. And that's the genius of this film. And so what I would say is, if you're a Gen Xer and you've seen this a bunch of times and you're like, these guys are idiots, who needs to rewatch this? What I would say is if you only watched it with its screen cut off, go ahead and give it a rewatch. You'll enjoy it far more. I can guarantee that.
Are those the people that are giving this movie low ratings on IMDb? People who have only
that could
seen
be
the butchered pan and scan version?
Can you imagine that's what it is? And they're like, how is this funny? It's just a stupid scene.
I can imagine a lot. Yeah.
That would be amazing. And as far as stand-up performances, I would say, I think the script is the stand-up performance. I think all the actors that typically did like Westerns or dramas or, thrillers or whatever that we had mentioned, bringing them into the light to do this comedy is genius, and I don't think that, there are a lot of movies that you could name today that you don't have without the success of Airplane. So that to me is super, super, super interesting.
To me, the stand-up performance of the movie, though, goes to Kareem Abdul-Jabbar because he played like not him. The running joke in the movie is that like it's obviously Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, and like everybody recognizes him as Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, and he's like, I'm not Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, and he's just like, because the character is not, but it is. He's hilarious, and he also agreed to do the movie for $30,000 so that he could buy a rug. I don't know what a $30,000 rug looks like. I don't know why someone would want a $30,000 rug, and I don't know why that would be the way, but I love it.
And why doesn't
it? And I love it.
Yeah. Why doesn't he have 30 grand laying around that he can buy the rug and not do the film? Because I bet you anything, he strained his back getting into that tiny airplane seat. I mean, I don't know many,
sure.
Look, we are, okay, I am, how tall am I?
We're little people.
I'm 4'16" or 17, right? No, I'm 4 foot. I'm 4 foot 14.
5'5". You're not 5'5".
Yeah, I'm 4 foot 15. He is
Scott's
like
5'2", 5'3" on a good day.
On a great day. He's like 8'9", and anyway, imagine the size of the rug. Like it was probably Anyway,
I
let's
bet
get
it was
into
a
the
big rug. Yeah, that's a good point.
yeah, it had to have
No,
been
let's talk more about this rug. Yeah. But yeah, our motto, two short kings, one big film pod, is not just a clever saying. We are short men.
we're
I'm the
tiny.
tall one, and I'm 5'5". So
Yeah.
if you're
Yeah.
under 5'6" out there, just know that we are your people. This is a place for you. You can come here and you can just feel tall. Yeah, short power. All right.
All right, 5 film facts. Let's get into it. So, as I mentioned, Abrams.
Is it Abrahams or
Zucker.
Abrams? Yeah, Abrams.
I'm going to call him Jim. Jim, Dave, and Jerry walked into a room and saw Robert, Lloyd, Peter, and Leslie and said, "You need to be in our film. You need to play it straight, and it's going to be the most unhinged comedy you've ever seen or heard of, but no one is going to acknowledge that this is a comedy." So, I think that there was some persuading that had to be done in order to get these guys to do this, but it's hard to imagine anyone else in these roles really at all, because they do it so well and it's so great that it's outside their wheelhouse. So I love that, and I think it's a great fact.
And until this movie, they had never done like comedic roles, right? They were just known for being like the most serious people in the business.
Yeah,
So
absolutely.
super against type. Yeah.
Anyway, what
Very
do we got
cool.
next?
The doctor role was Leslie Nielsen's first comedic role. He later said he was delighted to get the offer, fearing that he was getting too old for anything but elderly grandfather roles. You know, another one of these guys who's eternally old, kind of like who were we talking about last week? Frasier's dad.
Yeah,
Help me
Frasier's
out.
dad.
Yeah, you know, that's the guy, that's that actor, Frasier's dad. Eternally old. Leslie Nielsen, he's another one. Just getting too old for anything but elderly grandfather roles. The studio actually wanted to cast Dom DeLuise as the doctor, but the directors ultimately prevailed. This led to Nielsen, or Leslie as we call him, Big Les, gaining a whole new career in wacky comedies, particularly other Zucker, Abrams, Zucker Productions, ZA.
I think you could sort of draw a comparison, although it's different because he's a comedic actor. But Steve Martin has always been that gray-haired guy, and the only difference is that he prominently did comedic roles. But if he were to jump into like thrillers or dramas, you could say the same thing. Basically, it's just the opposite direction.
He's a good banjoist. That's Steve Martin. You ever
He
seen
is
him
a
play
good
that
banjo.
thing?
I have.
Whip
It's
that
kind of
banjo
incredible.
out.
Yeah. I'd love to see him live at some point. That would be pretty incredible, I think. Fact number
What is
3.
he, 115?
Yeah, he's getting up there, but he can still handle it. You know, you only need your fingers, right?
He's been 115 for like 70 years, so
Since Roxanne.
You don't have to
Lloyd
put on the red
Bridges
light.
had a great deal of questions trying to understand the characters, motivations, the dialogue. Robert Stack pointed out that the visual gags were so frequent and so nonsensical that he felt no one in the audience was going to get it or care. And he really thought that like they were the joke. And it couldn't be further from the truth. So, you know, that's kind of interesting. And Lloyd Bridges really, as you're walking through this movie and watching it or rewatching it, he has so many great, you know, out of left field one-liners that it's just so fun. But you can see, you know, perhaps how an actor would have some difficulty like understanding what they're trying to do if this hadn't been done before. And I guess I would say, you know, you look at a film like, I want to draw a comparison, but let's take a film like Anchorman, for example. You know, Anchorman, I think that you know what you're getting into, right, as an actor, but these guys didn't. And I think that that was a major challenge for them, or at least in my research, that's kind of what it seemed like. Anyway.
Yeah. One of my favorite facts about this movie is most of the jive talk, which was really another one of my favorite running gags. It was improvised by the actors Al White and Norman Alexander Gibbs. The directors, they were not sufficiently fluent at all in the hip street language of the time. And in a bonus vignette for the Don't Call Me Shirley edition of the Blu-ray, which is the special edition, the ultimate Blu-ray edition, White and Gibbs explain how they came up with the dialect for the directorial team. Whenever the participants speak in regular English, the scene is subtitled in jive, which was super funny. If you have a Blu-ray player and access to Blu-rays, it's totally worth getting it and checking it out.
I have a very good friend of mine that can do one of those parts in jive completely, and it's brilliant. And every time he does it, I die laughing because he just does it so well. He memorized it from when he was a kid,
Yeah.
and he still has it with him, 30, 35 plus years later. So it's very cool. I love that scene as well. It's just genius. Chevy Chase was Paramount's first choice for the role of Ted Stryker, but his agent wanted a fee of $750,000, which would have pushed the film way over its $3.5 million budget at the time. Chevy Chase ended up making Caddyshack in 1980, another amazing film. And he made that for a rival studio. So let's not feel too bad for Chevy Chase, but that's a big ask for a film with that kind of a budget. And I think that Chevy Chase could have been pretty amazing in the part, but it is hard to imagine
No.
anyone else doing it. But
Yeah.
he's got the repertoire to be able to handle a part like.
Chevy Chase is an amazing comedic actor, but I'm not making any friends this episode with my John Landis outing. But Chevy Chase is another purportedly insufferable douchebag by all accounts, just as known as just being a huge dick to work with anyway. So, but also one of the funniest guys ever.
Yeah,
all right.
I've read that as well.
I don't think we're getting Chevy or John Landis on the show anytime soon.
Well, not now.
Guys, if anyone knows Chevy and John Landis, let them know that we're kidding. Yeah.
Ish.
And let them know to listen to us.
Yeah.
Cool.
Or not.
So let's talk about rewindable scale. Scott,
For
what are you
me,
giving this movie on the scale of 1 to 10?
Yeah, I think this is one of those brilliant movies that I love. It's an easy rewind. You can put it on the background. I do encourage everyone to pay attention, especially if you haven't seen it in a long time, for all that detail that we've mentioned. It's really a film that is, it just has all that cool detail in it. They really paid attention. You might say there's like a million Easter eggs in this film. I give it an 8.6.
Joke a minute.
It's a joke a minute. I mean, there's so many jokes. It's like jokes on top of jokes. But 8.6 for me. I think it's a great film. Has me
8.6.
laughing. When you bring up like different things like the jive talking and all that kind of stuff, I mean, I immediately just start laughing, thinking about those moments. So it's one of those films that will definitely stick with you. You will definitely appreciate it more the more that you see it, because you'll pick up on more of that detail. Yeah, I'm good with an 8.6. I think it's really funny to me. So
Well, 8.6 is better than 7.7. So you're definitely not one of those jerks on IMDb who doesn't know what funny is. But, I'm definitely, as we know, more generous than you are with these scores. And I'm ranking this movie not against Citizen Kane, not against Taxi Driver, but just against other comedies. And, for me, it's hard to imagine like this is a joke, a laugh a minute. It really is, consistently for the 90 something or other minutes running time. Like, you're pretty much laughing every minute. 9.5. Gonna go ahead. 9.5. Hard to imagine there being a comedy that's much better than this one.
I'm not mad about that at all. And I think that you made a good point. I think you made a tremendous point in that when you're comparing movies, the last thing that you want to do is compare comedies to thrillers to dramas to action to science fiction. It doesn't make any sense.
I wouldn't even know how to do that. I wouldn't know
No.
how to rate this movie against something like Primal Fear that we watched last week. I mean,
Yeah.
Yeah.
100%. This needs to rank amongst its peers and amongst like-kind films. So that's why I think that your rating is completely defendable. You're far more of a comedy guy than I am, and that's great. We're not here because we like the same things. We're here because we have different opinions on things, and that's all good.
I'm glad you really like this one, though.
Loved it. I love Airplane. It's so much. Such a great. So, what are some other films that people should watch if they enjoyed this one? Let's give the folks some recommendations.
Yeah, if you loved Airplane and you want more, check out Hot Shots, 1991. Charlie Sheen, kind of a spoof on films like Rambo and Top Gun and 80s machismo stuff, like definitely an 80s action spoof. Naked Gun, 1988. The granddaddy really, like, other than Airplane. Naked Gun might be the reason why I didn't give Airplane a 10, because the Naked
That's
Gun
fair.
is a 10. And so Airplane to me is right beneath that. Top Secret 1984, like spoof of spy cinema. It's got like a spoofing the older James Bond films. Scary Movie 2000. Scary Movie is a hit or miss franchise for sure, but the original Scary Movie by the Wayans brothers is a classic. I would absolutely keep it up here in the upper echelon of all-time comedies. Blazing Saddles, 1974. Mel Brooks, one of his greatest. And then Robin Hood Men in Tights, 1993. Another Mel Brooks film. I think we just named more than 5. 1, 2, 3, 4. That was 6. That was 6. Yeah, we named 6 5 similar films, but that's okay. Well, there's no rules on Friday Night Rewind. We do what we want. We
That's
make
right.
the rules and we
If
break
we say
the
5
rules.
and we do 6,
Yeah.
you'll get 6.
Yeah, and we did 6, so Scott, why don't you go ahead? Any bonus films? Because we don't want to stop at 6.
Yeah, we can't stop at 6. I would say, a film like Spaceballs is another great example. A film like Anchorman is
Mel
another
Brooks
great
again.
example. Some of the, when I'm really into, when I get into a film, I'll go down the rabbit hole and I'll find similar films by directors and things like that. But I think that you don't have Anchorman if you never got Airplane. You certainly don't have the majority of the films that you just mentioned without Airplane. And clearly studios were interested in replicating the success that they had because, again, a $3.5 million budget to make over, $150 million is, $171 million is incredible. So, the studio was definitely laughing all the way to the bank on that one.
And since we're recommending films, one more film that I wanted to recommend, and it's a film that we have to watch on this show at some point, and it's a film called Amazon Woman on the Moon. Scott, have you seen Amazon Woman on the Moon?
Oh yeah.
All right.
Oh yeah.
I saw Amazon Women on the Moon at the right age. And what I mean by that is Amazon Women on the Moon is one of the funniest movies ever made. And it also has a lot of boobs. I was trying to think of a tasteful way to say that. But I failed. Just a ton of topless women. And if you see that movie at the right age, it imprints itself on your soul. But it is a hilarious, hilarious movie. And if you like to laugh, it's just a phenomenal film. Anyways, you were gonna tell everybody where they could watch this movie at home.
No. I was gonna talk about boobs.
Okay.
I mean, you're not wrong. Like these things are, when you get to 12 and 13
it was the 80s.
old,
The 80s, like. And these movies were PG too, I think. Like at first, the 80s they were not afraid to show topless women in PG movies in the 80s. Like it was a thing.
Yeah, I wonder. I mean, there's a lot of cocaine going around back then. I'm not here to judge.
There was.
It
was a different time.
It was a
not
different
a better
time. It was
time.
a different era. Just different.
Yeah. Just different.
So everyone, you can find this on Fandango, Peacock, Paramount Plus, AMC Plus. I believe that I just got it on Prime. I think I bought it for $5. So it's definitely out there and pretty cheap for you to get back into. So I definitely encourage everyone to if you've not seen it, definitely see it. That's number one. Get your friends together and put your phones down and watch this and watch it for the details.
Don't second screen this thing.
No. This is not a film that you can, you can't watch this while you're doing work on your laptop. You can't watch this while you're messing around with a game on your iPad. You can't watch this while you're TikToking on your phone. You got to put the devices down and just dive in because the level of comedic genius in this is so high. You're going to miss something. You don't want to miss something. It's that good. It's really worth it. So give it the time and respect that it deserves. I guarantee you will not regret it. I promise you. And
And
if you do
speaking,
regret it, it's Jason's fault.
yes, and if you love it, it's also Jason's fault.
Jason's fault.
Yeah. And speaking of comedic genius, next week we are going to rewind the hilarious 1997 Laugh Riot Event Horizon. And I'm being very sarcastic because Event Horizon is one of the least funny movies of all time. Event Horizon is a movie that will give you nightmares. That's all that I'll say about Event Horizon. But that's what we're going to rewind next week. And
This is going to be tough for me, but I'm going to do it for the people. So I am not looking forward to. I am looking forward to it, but I'm not looking forward to it. This movie scared the life out of me, and I don't think that I've rewound this in probably 30 plus years. So we'll see how
And
that goes. See you next time. Thank you for joining us.
Before we go, we forgot to do all the things. We forgot our due diligence. Find us on find us on Facebook at facebook.com/Friday Night Rewind. Find us on YouTube and Instagram at Friday Night Rewind Pod, POD. Like, subscribe, all the things. We do a lot on social media. So a lot of bonus content over there.
Yep, absolutely. That's it for us. We'll see you next time. Thank you for joining us. Hope you had fun, and we'll see you again.